131. And do not become separated or contradictory or disunified among one another in any way and for whatever reason, but instead take the clear evidence of the prophets and live in love with one another so that you do not bring down any punishment on yourselves. 132. See to it that your faces do not become darkened through iniquity, unfairness, and unknowingness of the truth. Rather make sure that your faces are brightened by equitableness, fairness, and knowledge of the truth and its teaching as has been given by the prophets in accordance with the laws and recommendations of the fruitfulness creation. 133. Those whose faces are darkened by lying and deception, by slander, calumny, and all disastrous things, they are separating themselves from the community of the fair ones, responsible ones, and those knowing in the truth. And those whose faces are brightened by their love of the truth, their knowledge, their wisdom, their equitableness, fairness, and their respect, deference for the truth. They will be in the grace of very many people of your kind, human beings, and will dwell amongst them as esteemed ones and ones who are always welcome. 135. These are also signs, evidence, of the laws and recommendations of knowledge, of wisdom, and the laws and recommendations of creation and the appearance nature. And these are also signs, evidence, of the prophets who bring them forth to you because they encompass the truth, and they give them because they do not want any inequity, unfairness, or unknowing of the truth amongst you. 136. The primal wellspring of wisdom, creation, is everything that exists in the firmament's universe, and on the earth's worlds/planets. And it has presented everything before you so that you may manage it rightfully and may also be rightful yourselves. Therefore you may decide to act rightfully in all things. 137. You are the best creatures, life forms, who have arisen for the benefit of all people of your kind, human beings. Therefore you shall also bring the benefit to people of your kind, fellow human beings, and not wage any battles, wars, amongst one another. You shall safeguard the rights amongst one another and protect yourselves against all non-right by following the guideline, signposting/leading thought of the primal wellspring of wisdom, creation, its laws and recommendations that are given to you by the true prophets. 138. And know that if you open your ears to the teaching of the prophets, then truly you dedicate our being loyal to it, yourselves to the guideline, signposting/leading thought of the existence, and it will be better for you. 139. And heed the teaching of the true prophets, because only they teach the guideline, signposting/leading thought of the primal wellspring of wisdom, creation, the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life, because they teach love and peace, freedom and unity, harmony, and do not heed the false prophets who only teach the guidelines of evil, so that there may be lovelessness and dispeace, as well as unfreedom and disunity, disharmony, amongst you, just as they also commit manslaughter and bloody deeds, murder, and teach punishments as laws of their fabulated, invented gods and tin gods, so that you are subjugated and submissive in bondage to them and are biddable out of fear of punishment, and they can fleece, exploit you and subdue master you. 140. Be on your guard against the false prophets, because then they can only do little or even no harm, and when they are against you in order to influence you with their false teachings, then turn your back on them, and in this way they will not find any victims in you. 141. If you turn away from the false prophets, then they will be ignominiously defeated wherever they are encountered, unless you let them close to you and you offer them your protection. But know that the false prophets bring delusional teachings of fabulated, invented gods and tin gods, as do equally their priests and other servants of tin gods, so that you shall follow the false teachings and kill and punish in the name of the gods and tin gods. Consider that true prophets do not bring any teaching of this kind, but the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life, and this does not include either laws or recommendations that instruct, command, to kill, put to the ordeal, torture, or punish, because in truth the teaching of truth of the true prophets is based on the laws and recommendations of creation, which do not know manslaughter and bloody deeds, murder, and also do not know ordeal, torture, or punishment, but only true love and peace, as well as freedom and concordance, harmony. Therefore you shall be watchful and detect the false prophets by their speaking, just as you detect their priests and other servants of gods and servants of tin gods, who disseminate the insidious and deceitful teachings of the false prophets, so that you shall bow down, be in bondage to them and their false teachings. 142. Do not agitate yourselves in rage because of the fabulated, invented, and falsified teachings of the false prophets, which are nonsensical and deceitful to the truth, as well as their priests and other servants of gods and servants of tin gods. And do not fall into misery because of the falsified teachings of the false prophets, who have since time immemorial rejected the true teaching of truth and its signs evidenced, just as they also do today, so that you unrighteously kill, murder, put to the ordeal, torture, and punish us since time immemorial. Be on your guard against the false prophets and their deceitful and insidious teachings, and also against those who bring the false teachings of the false prophets and fabulated, invented gods and tin gods amongst you as priests and other servants of gods and servants of tin gods, because they are rebels and outrageous ones, irresponsible ones, against the truth of the formation, creation, and its laws and recommendations. 143. Truly, you are not all the same, because there are some amongst you who follow the bond with the truth and lead your existence accordingly. So you care for the truth in word and in teaching, both in the daytime and in the hours of night. But there are also some amongst you who are connected to a belief in gods and tin gods, in liberators, angels, and demons, and in venerable ones, holy ones, and in godheads and the like. In such doing you are following a false teaching and are cursing the truth. But you who do such things, you are imposing a harmful punishment of lovelessness, hatred, thirst for revenge, dispeace, unfreedom, and dissonance, disharmony, on yourselves. 144. Know always about the real truth of the formation, creation, and its laws and recommendations, thereby bringing about the right and demanding the non-right its rightlessness. Compete with one another to do good deeds, and always maintain your righteousness, conscientiousness, and for the good deeds that you do and for maintaining your righteousness, conscientiousness, you shall receive your fair appropriate reward, and your good deeds and your righteousness, conscientiousness, shall not be disputed, because whoever knows the truth shall esteem it well and recognize it in veneration, respect. 146. Curses and damnation shall not be called down, wished on the unfair ones, irresponsible ones, and enemies of truth, the thieves and deceivers, the murderers, and all those who do non-right. Rather they shall be given the possibility, in accordance with the right and law, and appropriately in accordance with the laws and recommendations of the primal power creation, to be able to understand their doing non-right through learning the teaching of truth, the teaching of spirit, the teaching of life, which shall also apply if the fulfillment of guidelines, punishment by separation from the society for a certain time, is ordered. Goods that are wangled, grifted through non-right, or goods that are obtained in any other way through non-right doings, shall not benefit the thieves and deceivers and all other non-righteous ones, conscienceless ones, because it shall be taken away from them and given back to those from whom it was expropriated, stolen, in one way or another, and damage done to goods and chattels and possessions through doing non-right shall be remedied to the full extent by the fallible ones, whether the remedy takes the form of performing a service work, or repaying the liability for the damage in the form of currency. 147. You are unfair amongst yourselves, and therefore against yourselves. Therefore you shall learn equitableness, fairness, against yourselves and against people of your kind, human beings, so that you may find a peaceful coexistence and peace in yourselves.